Welcome to the next installment in my video lecture series for international economics. And in this particular video lecture, I'm going to be taking a look at what happens if the output of one sector increases, the price of the output in one sector increases while the price in the other sector remains the same. What is going to be the impact on wages and the allocation of labor between those two sectors? And it's important to realize that if the price of one output increases relative to the other, while the other one stays the same, that whatever percentage increase in the particular price of that output will not be reflected in a full or comparable increase in the wage rate. For example, your book shows that if there's a 7% increase in the price of cloth, that the increase in the wage rate will be less than 7%. It's important to understand particularly why this occurs. So if there's an increase in the price of cloth, we are going to see a shifting in the demand for cloth. So let me, as a shortcut, just duplicate this, and I will shift it to the right to show that there is an increase in the price. And let me change the notation on this so that you know that P2 is at the higher price level. So P2 is higher than P1 for cloth, and this causes the demand for labor and cloth to increase. So now we are going to have a new equilibrium. It's going to be where the new demand for cloth intersects the original demand for food production. So let me actually make that dot a little bit bigger so it's easier for everybody to see. Make it the same size. That is going to be the new equilibrium point. It's going to be where the new demand for cloth is equivalent to the demand for food production. And if I draw in a couple of dotted lines here, and let me make that size the same as the other ones, bring it down to 2. This will be the new equilibrium wage rate. And let me actually get rid of that. I'll just copy and paste to make it easier. So that would be the new equilibrium wage rate in this particular economy. So we see that the wage rate will increase. Let me draw that in. So we see an increase in the wage rate, but it would not be the equivalent to the 7% increase. Let me delete that out. It doesn't look quite right. Here's the equivalent 7% increase. So this would have been the wage rate, and I'll call it W3. And change the notation on that. The increase from W1 to W3 would reflect that full 7% increase in the price of cloth that's being produced. But we only see the wage rate increase to W2. This is less than the 7% increase in the price, or the 7% increase in the demand for cloth. Why is that the case? Well, you realize that in this particular model that we're talking about, specific factors, that labor is mobile between the two sectors. Labor can migrate from cloth to food and from food to cloth. So with this increase in demand for cloth because of the increase in the price of cloth as an output, we see that labor is reallocated. What we end up seeing here is that here's the original amount of labor used in cloth. A portion of that will migrate over to a portion of the food production, the labor that's used for food production. Some of those individuals will shift from food production over to cloth production. So we will see this migration in this amount right here. And let me change the color to blue so that I believe it was ocean. this amount from here to here is going to be the amount of labor that migrates from food over to cloth production. So as the supply of labor is shifting away from food and cloth production, that has a mitigating effect on the wage rate, because in essence we're shifting labor away from food production into cloth production, and this will cause the increase in the wage rate to be less than the 7% increase in the price of cloth production. So a couple of things to remember here is that the increase in the price causes the demand for labor and cloth to increase. We see a rightward shift in this. We move from the original equilibrium point here to the new equilibrium point there, and this gives us a higher wage rate, but it is less than the 7% increase in the price of cloth. The reason why it's not equivalent is the fact that some of the labor that was previously used in food production is now shifted away, and it is now being used in cloth production, which has a mitigating effect to the increase in the demand for cloth due to the increase in the price of cloth.